flying over the Andes Mountains. It's really quite a spectacular flight. See these mountain peaks, some of which are 16,000 feet high, 18,000 feet high. Really quite remarkable. We're going to show you some of the highlights of Lima, the capital of Peru. We stayed at the Marion Hotel in Miraflores, a brand new hotel. It just opened a few months before we got there, so that was quite special. 5-star deluxe, and what a breakfast. We even had harp entertainment with the morning meal. Lima has been experiencing an impressive modernization in the last 14 years since we've been traveling to South America. A lot of new buildings have gone up, typified by this brand new Marriott Hotel. It's really a choice property. It's right on the coastline at Miraflores. And just across the street is a brand new shopping mall. It has a major food court. And there's an observation area on a point overlooking the ocean, looking out into the Pacific Ocean along the coastline here. We're going to take you on a city tour now with our local guide, Diana.
This is one of the main streets of Miraflores. It's very easy and it's very quiet and it's very safe to walk around here. You're going to see there's a lot of people walking all over. Some shops opens at 10, other ones 11, some ones even at noon. And basically all of them are open until 8 and 8:30. This is the central park of Miraflores. Behind you have the main church. This white one, it's a miniature of the presidential palace we're going to see in the main square. This is a copy of the Monte Carlo Casino. We are going to start leaving Miraflores and we are entering to San Isidro. The plaza ahead of us, it's in honor of San Martin. You're going to have it to their left. San Martin is a general from Argentina who proclaimed our independence in 1821. The plaza itself is 1921, 100 years afterwards.
We're on the main square of town, the Plaza De Armas, with the presidential palace. We're here in the square on a very busy day. They're having a celebration with their military band out entertaining the crowd and people marching by celebrating the environment. It's Ecology Day in Peru. This was pure serendipity for us. We were on our city tour and just happened by the main square going into the cathedral you see in the background, and we stumbled upon this big parade. The future represented in these small kids out watching the colorful parade. Peru has a long history of political problems with the oligarchy, the rule by the rich, the dictatorship of the military, and other such typical South American scenarios. But now everybody is hoping for a new and modern future. We're watching all of these festivities from the front steps of the Bishop's Palace right next to the cathedral, and we're about to take a look inside the cathedral with our guide Diana. The cathedral was built in 1755. It's the third cathedral on this site. The previous two were knocked down by earthquakes. As Diana tells us all about it.
Everything that looks very solid, etc., I was telling some of you, the columns are hollow. The roof is wooden. The structure is mud bricks and bamboo. Because the bamboo, the mud, the hollow columns gives flexibility or elasticity to the construction during earthquakes. And that has been the main problem of Lima since it was founded. That's why this is the third cathedral, because the other ones were turned down basically because of these big earthquakes. When I'm talking about earthquakes, I'm translating literally. Earthquake for us in Spanish is terremoto, and we consider an earthquake over 6.5 in the Richter scale. If it's below that, we never talk about it. Lima shakes 4 times a day average.
Really?
And out front of the cathedral are some beautiful old buildings with their covered balconies, the most gorgeous of which is at the Archbishop's Palace. Hopping in a taxi, we're crossing town to learn some more history. We're going to the Archaeological Museum. And you can get around cheaply by taxi in Lima. Just ask the price first before you take off. Museum de la Nación, it's a brand new building. Look at this structure. Very impressive setting for a most interesting collection of artifacts that spans the entire history of Peru. There's a large collection of stone statues. They've got the chronology going all the way back to the early Stone Age. A lot of models and mock-ups, as well as a lot of original artifacts here. Typical model of an early house structure. And the museum offers free tours with a guide who can walk you through the highlights of the collection, as we're doing today. The Tello obelisk is carved of granite and represents the divine monster. Another impressive piece is the Raimondi Stela, a carved monolith dating from about 600 BC, over 6 feet high. There's a huge collection of pottery, which is one of the main artifacts produced by the various prehistoric cultures of Peru. It's all divided up into different periods. There's also quite a few mummies in ancient Peru. There's a very impressive reconstruction of a recently discovered burial. This is found along the northern Peruvian coastline, representing an important tribal chief. A map showing the 3,000-mile extent of the Inca Empire. Interesting models. Here's a mock-up of the schematic of the Andes Mountains and the valley slopes and the coastal areas and the Amazon jungle area. And here's a 3D site map showing the remote location of Machu Picchu, way up in the mountains. The most amazing display in this museum has got to be their huge model of Machu Picchu itself. This is the whole site, stone by stone. It's almost like you're flying over the site. It really brought the site to life for us once again and added new meaning, showing the beauty and the cohesive design to this amazing site of Machu Picchu. That model alone makes the trip to the museum worthwhile, and then in addition you have all of those other thousands of artifacts, the beautiful pottery, the textiles, the photographs, the other 3D models, some gold and silver. Quite a nice visit to Museo de la Nación. And when you come outside you can find a taxi out on this main highway that will bring you back into the center of town. It is about 25 minutes outside of the center of Lima, but it's well worth the trip. You can go by taxi. You could take a minibus, but that's not really suggested for a tourist. And do a little last-minute shopping here. We're back in the heart of Miraflores, the tourist part of town where they've got a whole collection of nice hotels. And look at this interesting form of mass transit. These are all private buses operated almost as a jitney kind of service, and they've got their hustlers recruiting more customers for the bus. There are over 100 different little bus companies operating in Lima. Each bus goes to a certain series of locations, so it's actually a pretty efficient system. Walking along the main street of Miraflores, it's quite busy in the evening. The shops stay open at least until 8 o'clock. And there are some very nice clothing stores here. A lot of fabrics made right in Peru, famous for its cottons and its wools. And you can get some pretty good values because the dollar is quite strong in South America. Throughout our trip, we were able to do some pretty good shopping. And now we're coming into one of the final stops on our itinerary, which is Cusco, perhaps in many ways the most spectacular of all the places that we've seen in South America.